is in project planning, timelines, and implementation readiness. And we think these are matters of concern because you conceive, you plan, we give budgets, so we are concerned why now these projects again don't hit the timelines. We are looking at readiness. We are looking at procurement delays. By the time you come to us for resources, are you really ready for these projects? What brings laxity in procurement? All these are your programs, and we want to know why. Of course, in that we look at risk mitigation strategies. Some targets seem unachievable within one financial year that you set. The committee seeks specific milestones and proof of procurement readiness. Very, very important, especially for you, the accounting officer. We are interested in the performance and budget provisions, especially now. And this performance vis-a-vis the releases that you have got, what was approved and what was released, and what was achieved so far by the releases, and the challenges you met, and how we can be of help, because we are willing to do that. Budget provisions, the indicative values, where do you need adjustments, what kind of help do you need from the committee, because we are willing to do that. So that we can walk this together up to the end. Our interest, let me reinstate, I've been doing that. Our interest as a Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs is to make sure we strengthen and empower the whole defense and security spectrum. You should never be found lacking on any when we are here, and when we are looking forward and willing to give you all that you need. Even along the way, you know, when you plan, when there has been a need for supplementary, we have provided it. So our interest is that. But along the way, we want to see what we have given, whether it is actually put in its rightful use. That is the purpose of us being here. So welcome you, Honorable Minister. Please make your congratulate you, Honorable Minister. Congratulations are absolutely in order. You know, in your constituency, I don't think that all these red labels were of use. It's the voters who had to determine. So we welcome you and congratulate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel happy to be congratulated. You know, if you've ever gone through election, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Some of the people here, they go through some election, but not the election we are talking about. And the UPDF Amendment Act, and that amendment has given the committee more work. I saw some of the issues raised which are related to as result of the amendments. And we are happy before you today, to be here before you, to answer and respond to all the responses, the questions raised, the issues raised. And to do this ably, I will want to ask the Permanent Secretary to help us go through this by, you know, the committee has already been, the responses, go to our responses, and then highlight. Sorry?
Maintenance.
Maintenance. That's it. They are voting along the road.
Oh.
They didn't know I was coming. They closed the
Don't mind. You are.
So
it also happened that your escorts blocked our MPs, members of this committee. Little did they know that actually they were going to
the same committee.
Same committee. It happens, so don't mind.
My escorts don't block anyone. But PS, do you want to take us through this?
We had already externalized our responses to the committee, but go straight to the response. Issue number 4 was on credibility and sustainability of the medium-term expenditure growth. And on this one, the required response was on justifying the projected medium-term growth trajectory. And our response is that during the planned period of NDP 4, our ministry developed a 5-year ministerial strategic plan which outlines the ministry's priorities and anticipated interventions with their corresponding budgetary requirements. It is against this background that MTF projections were determined. We have a table that indicates MTF projections in comparison with the ministry's strategic plan projections and the growth trajectory. So on page 3 of our document, there is table 1, which shows the MTF projections in comparison with our strategic plan projections. So 2025-26, we have MTF at 4,093,960,000,000 shillings, and our ministry's plans in that period was at 4.3 trillion 396 billion. In 2026-27, those who have the document, you can see those figures, 4.6 trillion, and here there was an increase of 14.16% from the MTF, the initial MTF. And under the ministry, we put our projection at 4.8 trillion. So the percentage growth in MTF then from the initial ministry strategic plan was at 9.49%. 2027-28, MTF figures were at 5.2 trillion. This again being a 13.26% increase from the previous figure, and the ministry projection was put at 5.4, which is a 13.34% increase. 28-29, 6.4 trillion, percentage increase on MTF at 22.78, and ministry, our projections were at 6.7 trillion with a 22.8% increase. 29-30, we've put it at, MTF puts the figure at 7.5 trillion, which is an increase of 16.46%. And the ministry projected the figures under the strategic plan at 7.8 trillion, which is a 16.72%. 2030-31 is beyond the MTF period, so we didn't cater for that period. We shall do that when we reach there. The medium-term projections indicate a growth trajectory because of, 1, anticipated security environment, 2, acquisition of modern equipment that matches the evolving technology, and anticipated threat levels. 3 is the enhancement of staff welfare, including salaries, pensions, gratuity, and health care. 4, increased strength of the personnel. 4, increased training, and 6, macroeconomic environment like inflation and exchange rate. You have to cater for this because you can never anticipate whether it's going to be inflation. It's a matter of budgeting and putting it there. So another question was indicating whether these projections have been agreed with the Ministry of Finance. And we are saying that MTF projections were based on consultations between Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the Governance and Security Program, and Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. So these are agreed projections. 4.2, the issue was the declining allocation to core national defense activities in financial year 2026-27. The committee's concerns were the reduction, and it was inconsistent with stated objectives of maintaining a modern and formidable UPDF. There was also no explanation provided on how operational readiness and force capability will be sustained under reduced envelope. So the question was to explain the rationale for the reduction and clarify which activities are being scaled down or deferred for that matter. So our response is the reduction of 255.9 billion shillings is for UPDF, peace support operations in Somalia, AWSOM. And this mission is an externally financed undertaking, and the funding is determined by AU and the UN and is included in the budget, usually in the final stages of budgeting. So this is why it's not there. We expect this to come in the next circular. And then these projections will then be communicated. 4.3, disproportionate high growth in non-wage and development. The concerns were BFP lacks sufficient disaggregation to demonstrate value for money, and major development investments are not clearly tied to time-bound outputs. So the committee wanted us to give a breakdown of non-wage and development expenditures by major cost drivers. And in that table, which is on page 6, we are giving that detail. I don't know whether I should go through it.
It's given already.
All right. These increases translate into measurable improvement in defense capability and welfare. And we are saying that the increased investment is capability enhancement, logistical support, and force welfare, which contribute towards building the ability of the UPDF to execute combat and non-combat operations effectively and efficiently. The expected changes are appropriately equipped forces with the latest weaponry systems, well-trained and prepared force, and a healthier and better motivated force. Zero allocation to external financing and peacekeeping operations. I think this is the same question like we had previously answered, so I think I needn't go through that again. Institutional development project dominance. The committee was talking about the scope of institutional development, that it is broad and insufficiently defined, limited clarity on how these investments differ from core defense expenditure. The response was to give a detailed scope, timelines, and expected outputs on that project 1867 and explain governance and oversight mechanism for managing such large project. Our response is this project is 95.1% classified equipment acquisition, which is managed under the classified arrangement. The other component that is non-classified includes furniture and fixtures, computers, barracks infrastructure, and transport equipment. These are mainly for smooth running of the Ministry of Defense and UPDF. Yes, policy, planning, and support services, which include financial management, human resource, procurement, veterans management, internal audit, and information technology. Issue 4.6, welfare community outcomes. The concern was the relationship between substantial resource allocation and modest outcome targets, and they are saying that those are weak. Some indicators, civilian access to UPDF health facilities, they raise questions of mandate and cost recovery. We have to justify the selected performance targets in light of allocated resources. Response is the welfare of UPDF personnel is a priority area and is critical in ensuring force readiness to execute defense missions. Therefore, it takes welfare as a key priority, with interventions in provision of health services, provision of formal education to the children of soldiers, provision of housing accommodation, and provision of affordable goods to officers and militants by a duty-free shop. 2, welfare interventions, namely provisions of health services and formal education, are also shared by members of the community, members of the public who are non-military. The ministry agreed on key performance indicators for each of the welfare interventions. The development of targets for the indicators is based on the budget allocation. The table 2 shows the performance targets